we're looking forward to the contributing part that hopefully we can generate from all of this. So Glenn, we're looking forward to hearing about you, hearing everything that you do, and I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Great. Are we in action? Everybody hear me? Excellent, that's cool. Well, thank you very much. What a delight. Hello, and happy World Kindness Day. Today is World Kindness Day. It's also Friday the 13th, which is meant to be the most unlucky day of the year. But I don't buy that. Small world we live in. This all came about when a man in LinkedIn in Australia talked to Brian from Synapse in the USA about Glenn from Northern Ireland. And I just think that's wonderful, and it shows you the power of LinkedIn and what a tiny little world it is we live in. I went to their first meeting and I was struck instantly, as I hope you are, with the vibe which is going on at this particular meeting, with an atmosphere of kindness. It was just lightweight and light touch, and it was a model which really appealed to me. The first meeting I was treated to a lovely presentation from a lady who was very uplifting about the struggles which we have to face throughout lockdown. And she showed a display of photography and video of nature. And we spoke less in terms of business, although we got around to it, but just generally being supportive about each other. And I think that that is just such a wonderful idea. And for me, because the model worked so well, it actually sparked my interest to start on LinkedIn a new hashtag, which is kindness works. Please follow the hashtag and use it freely. It's all about occasions like this, using evidence and example to demonstrate to people the benefits of being kind to each other and pulling together and supporting each other. So I've been asked to share my why. Well, first of all, my what. What on earth do I do? Well, I'm a fundraising consultant and a mentor. So broadly speaking, I would do freelance work for some of the bigger national charities, but work quite closely with smaller organizations as well, non-profits, helping them with their messaging, helping people to understand the impact which they have, working with them to pull together good strategies to make sure that they are using income streams which are a good fit and work well for that particular organization, and ensuring that their supporters, their donors and their fundraisers have a superior experience so that they're not forgotten and they keep coming back for more. That is the main thrust of it all. Fundraising isn't so much about money, it's about making friends with people, supporting them, nurturing them, and they'll keep coming back for more to help and support your charity. So why did it all start for me? Well, I guess I have to go way, way back to when I was about 16 years of age. I confess I wouldn't have had the most healthy or wholesome lifestyle. There would have been a little bit of substance misuse and underage drinking at that time. I remember well, myself and Winky, he had 10 pints of homebrew beer and I had a bottle of cream of the barley whiskey. And between that, we shared it and took a stagger down our local town and spotted a church. The lights were on, but the gates were locked. So we climbed over the gates and went down into the church, stocious, that means drunk, just to see what it was like. And it was a youth club. And regardless of us being in the state that we were in, we were just treated really well. No one judged us and we were welcomed. And I think that that stayed in my mind, the impact which those people had in my life, significant and ongoing, and I hope everlasting. Just planted a little seed that you can do positive things and have a positive life impact on the lives of people. And it was a slow process, but gradually my Evo stick, I hope you don't know what that is in America, actually, I'm ashamed to say it, and my whiskey became increasingly replaced by doing youth work and voluntary work. I, in fact, ended up running the youth club, which I first staggered into, and I became a founder of and a chairperson of the Lisburn, which is my local town, District Youth Council. Now, the Youth Council was dedicated to bettering the name of youth. This was in our dark days of the Troubles, when the Catholics and the Protestants were beating crap out of each other for absolutely no really good reason. And part of what we did was we got Catholic youth clubs and Protestant youth clubs to meet together, to integrate and to share experiences with each other and do sporting activities, just to make people understand that we are all the same and to break down those religious and sectarian barriers which existed at the time. We were skint. We didn't have any money at all. So the very first fundraising venture was a street collection or a flag day. I don't know if you guys have them. You basically, volunteers have a tin, they stand in the shopping area, and someone comes over, puts some money in the tin, and you would give them a sticker that they would put on to mark that they were supporting that non-profit. Of course, we didn't have any money at all. So I remember the night before, there was about 5 of us sat in Willie's house, and we got big rolls of freezer stickers, just little round stickers on a roll, and we unrolled all the stickers and we wrote LYC on the stickers and felt tip, hundreds and hundreds of them. And then the next day was our street collection, and none of us thought it was going to work. Who is going to be up to wearing these homemade stickers? And we thought we were doomed. It was a rip-roaring success. I remember still well today, standing at a little wall at the top of Bow Street, which is the main street in Lisburn, and looking down and seeing a sea of all of these people wearing these stickers. And I just found it very uplifting. And I was proud. I was proud of all that we had done and what we'd achieved. Our next fundraising venture was a disaster. We encouraged people to bring their egg boxes to the local supermarket so we could then sell them back to the egg suppliers to make money, but also to save the planet. And we got 3 egg boxes. I like to think we were ahead of our time and we're trailblazers. And now, of course, it's common day. But you can do good and you can have fundraising flops as well. I don't think that sparked my intention to go down the route of becoming a fundraiser as my career at that point in time, but I think it was the seed. I became a retail manager and worked in retail for about 3 years, and then I decided that I wanted to just have fun. So I packed it all in and went traveling. One of my main claims to fame was hitchhiking from Vancouver to Toronto and back. Wonderful times, absolutely wonderful times. One of my journeys took me to Bangladesh, where I did some voluntary work. And that kind of shifted my outlook and my mindset towards being a little bit more altruistic in what I wanted to achieve. I kind of thought in terms of, well, what real legacy do I want to leave behind? And I was really uplifted and empowered by the people of Bangladesh as well, because they were so happy and so contented with the simple things which they had when they had those simple things. And I thought to myself, well, what can I do? What can I do? I can be a salesman, I can be a shop manager. I had studied business studies and marketing. And the best way to utilize those skills and experience for my money was to get involved in fundraising. So I came back and I started working with a fantastic guy, Jerry Power, who's now the alumni officer of Queen's University in Belfast, as his assistant. And I was an assistant fundraiser with him. I then became, I worked with a small deaf charity for a couple of years, and then became the head of fundraising with Gingerbread, which is a charity for lone parents. and then subsequently went on to work for Muscular Dystrophy UK, and then ultimately managed a team of fundraising managers in England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. And then my father died. And when my father died, I took a couple of years out. Well, I took a year out. Actually, it turned into 2 years, but the plan was a year. And after that period, I thought, right, I need to get back into doing something constructive. So I started a business as a sole trader, caboodle fundraising. And caboodle fundraising helps nonprofits to generate income. So why did I keep going, and what spurs me on? You wouldn't believe the conversations I have with people. At this particular moment in time, there's a lot of charities are on their knees. And I have witnessed some horrendous stories from people and individuals crying to me because of the fear of them not being able to help their supporters or keep their staff employed. And I regularly get these conversations, and sometimes I come away with them absolutely buzzing, because a little bit of experience and looking through a fresh pair of eyes can make a world of difference. An example is one charity I'm aware of has about 75% of its income came through one source. Lockdown came and they completely lost that source. Now, they had good reserves, but their stakeholders were getting elderly. There wasn't as much energy, and they thought, like, in 4 or 5 years' time, they felt that they were going to be petering out and the charity would die. But of course, with the utmost respect, elderly people are good to encourage for giving donations and for leaving legacies as a gift in their will when they die. So sometimes a quick conversation with somebody just comes up with something which I really appreciate and they really appreciate, and it just makes me feel good. Like, a lot of organizations, chief executives of the chair people, they work stupidly long hours, not only for no money, but they're often injecting their own money into it to keep their businesses or their non-profit functioning and working. And often I fall in love with the charity. Sometimes I do pro bono work. Often I undercharge. And sometimes I just walk away. Heartbreaking. I have a thing which goes on a Sunday afternoon. For the past couple of months, I've had a conversation with a charity in Africa, and it would break your heart what some people have to put up with and the troubles which people have to face. So how do I fix that? How can one get to the point where you can help an organization who can't afford to pay you? And that is where I am now pivoting and shifting the organization to becoming a non-profit. It's actually called here a community interest company or a social enterprise. And that social enterprise means that I can then apply to grant-making trusts and potentially government funders who are interested in having a resilient, sustainable charity base. And I can get those non-profit organizations, those grant-giving trusts and foundations to pay me to help charities, who I can then provide the services for free. So that is the plan that I'm going to bring into action in the next few days, and converting the organization to becoming a non-profit. And then I can really spend quality time delving down deep into these organizations to help them with their vision and their aims and their core values, considering their legal and their ethical considerations as, you know, how do I approach the people who we help? When is that appropriate to do? We can look at doing SWOT analysis and competitor analysis, and I can look more in depth at their fundraising activities and the profile of their supporters and their prospects, and work with the cases for support and the messaging which they'll use and the communication mix to raise awareness of what they get up to and their supporter care, and helping them, which is a very crucial element, to find out which ways of generating income would work well for them. And there's a list of a whole lot of organizing events and society lotteries and trading and donors and commercial partnerships and all of those sorts of elements. And then looking at resources, staff and volunteer recruitment and retention and the structure. Quite often organizations are moving towards having a volunteer structure where fundraising staff manage a fleet of volunteers rather than do hands up fundraising themselves. And that will give me then the opportunity to provide a fuller service, programs of activity and giving people financial projections and helping them to monitor and to control what they're doing so that when they do go astray, they can preempt the pitfalls before they actually happen. Now, good fundraising, it's about communications, it's about nurturing relationships with people. I'm pretty good at that, but I don't have the depth of knowledge for some of the specialisms. So another way in which Caboodle Fundraising is pivoting is that we are going to bring on new associates, so that when I go to a client and say, I think you need help with perhaps your branding or your social media, that I can refer them to an associate, which is a one-stop fundraising shop now to provide a full suite of services. It also means when tenders are coming out where they're looking for people to provide fundraising activities and mentoring services, I'm not scrambling about looking for colleagues to work with to turn around the fundraising bid within a couple of weeks. They're there and they're sitting waiting for me. And that's the two big differences. It's going to become a non-profit organization, and absolutely delighted to say that Dave Toner, who's here today, and Ruth Young are going to come on board as associates. Now, let me say why. And this is back to this kindness works ethos, which I completely believe in. Dave's coming on board because Dave approached me and asked me if he could do something to help a charity. And he worked along with me and one of my clients to work on the most beautiful logo and to improve their branding. He was a complete joy to work with. So I've been a client of Dave's. And I also know that his heart's in the right place and he's a capable guy. Likewise with Ruth, back in the darkest days of the vid, at the beginning of it all, when we didn't have the PPE equipment, I was working with an organization which produced face masks called Hero Shield. Ruth Young, who is an expert in social media, stepped into the breach and took over their social media communications. Now, Ruth's a bit special. She's a TikToker. The queen of TikTok. Maybe she prefers to be called a princess, I don't know. But she got a 2-page spread in our biggest newspaper in Northern Ireland a couple of weeks ago for how she's managed to really captivate and utilize TikTok effectively. So happy to have those two guys on board to help us to take things forward. I'm a great believer on trying to find the positivity in absolutely everything. It's always out there. Even if something negative happens to me, I will do something positive just to counteract it. And the adversity which we're going through at the moment, I think, will spark diversity and people thinking in a different way and adapting. And I completely believe that a lot of organizations are going to come out of this grim time stronger, more resilient than we've ever been before. All done.
Glenn, I love it, man. I think many of us could just listen to you continue to talk for the full time. We can always tell when folks are really kind of doing what they should be doing, and it seems like you certainly are living in your purpose. We can feel your energy, your passion through the Zoom screen. So very, very cool. Thank you so much. This is when we open it up to questions, guys. So if you've got a question, a comment for Glenn, I would ask you to unmute yourself and maybe kind of flag your hand. There are ways to actually do a hand raise with the Zoom features. But we're going to try to keep this orderly. So who has a question for Glenn or a comment? And I've got to scroll through here. So if you're raising your hand, just give me a second. I got to go through a couple pages here. Anyone? Questions, comments? Nobody has anything nice to say.
Yes. No, I have something. Hey, this is Ken in Virginia Beach.
Good.
I think it's the first I've been in the gym listening to a Zoom call. And if anybody has ever seen the Netflix show Broadchurch, I thought I was watching straight from Ireland. What a great testimony, Glenn. Where did you come up with the name Cadoodle?
Caboodle.
Caboodle.
It was my kids. Nothing more sophisticated than the way it is. My children and I were thinking, what am I going to call the business? And we thought, well, let's think of some funny, memorable words. My daughter particularly liked buttocks, just a word she liked, and I thought that's not for me. And we tested out a few, and we just all liked the name Caboodle. But it was also meaningful for me too, because what I actually do very often when I start working with a new client is you go through the whole caboodle. And caboodle is, it's actually a military term. It means the kit and caboodle. It means absolutely everything. So you go through the whole caboodle of methods which people can use to generate income. And then you cherry pick the ones which are the best fit and match the organization which you're working with better. So for example, if they work with young people, you will have a tendency to use fundraising methods which help them to use social media because they're very much in the social media. If you have an older age group of people, they will be doing something different. So caboodle is all about looking at the whole caboodle of ways to raise money and then picking the best ones from it.
Hey Glenn, I've got a buddy here.
Compared to
Steve
buttocks, I think you made the right decision.
Yep. Hey Glenn, Steve from Richmond. Just wanted to let you know that I'm glad that the term kit and caboodle spans the two continents here, because I didn't know if that was actually, part of the vernacular. I have a buddy down the street who every once in a while, if something is incomplete, he'll say, I've only got the kit. I'm just waiting for the caboodle.
Brilliant. I use that.
Keith, I think Gina had a question. Keith, I think, is it Gina or Gianna?
Lena.
Yeah.
Hi, hello, Glenn. How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy. Thanks.
Here, I just want to come on and support every single thing that you've been talking about. I've had the pleasure to work with Glenn now, I'd say 4 to 6 weeks. And each time I come off our conversations, I'm feeling really, I'm buzzing. You listen to what I say, you pick out the best of what I have said, and you give me that oomph to go forward and to move on with the charity here. So just wanted to pop on to say thank you so much and keep up the good work.
Glenn, that means a lot. Thank you. Glenn is the typical example. She works for a charity and just does it ridiculously stupid hours. I'm not going to talk about her finances, but she's a generous person. She did a fantastic interview with someone, and she was asked how she used her downtime, what she did to relax, and her answer was sleep. And that's just typical of her. That's it. She works, she has her family, and she sleeps.
Let's go to Jay real quick.
Hi, Glenn, and welcome. I loved your talk. A couple questions for you. One is, you might have mentioned this, and perhaps I missed it. What was it you were doing when you were in Bangladesh? And two, from your experience with the people there, what did you find was most important to them? And it's kind of double-sided question. What did they stress about? And I ask that